Hello and welcome to Gladys Cake Kitchen. In part 2 of our beginner's guide on how to make a 2-tier cake, we'll be completing the final layer of our cakes in white colored ganache ready to be tiered. We'll also be tackling edible lace, where I'll show you my simple trick for attaching lace to cakes, and our cake board will see a makeover. Having doweled our cake slightly unusually in part 1, it will be time to tier the cake with some new tips for you to learn. Finally, there will be some floral arrangements as added decorations, where I'll show you some of the mistakes I made and tips for better results. These will all come together as a well-presented 2-tier cake displayed on a fondant covered board, decorated with edible lace and fresh flowers as additional decorative elements. I am excited to show you all the techniques used for making this 2-tier cake, so let's jump right in. Our cakes were completed as polished pink ganache cakes in part 1. Having left both to chill, our 7-inch cake is brought back for an extra layer of ganache. Initially, I was aiming for a multicolored textured look, which would have been achieved by applying patches of different colored ganache on the cake and dragging it along with a scraper. There's a video linked up here where I used the same technique for a beautiful christening cake, but having failed to sketch my ideas properly, I changed my mind and decided to layer the cake in white colored ganache for a whitewash effect. For this sudden change, a little lesson to learn is to sketch your ideas clearly and try them out if possible before attempting these on cakes for paying customers. Occasionally though, changes and redesigning your cake may occur, especially if you've been given complete creative control. But to effect these changes, ensure your ideas are laid out properly and never attempt changes until you are certain. With the 7-inch cake done, the 5-inch has a touch of white ganache too, and any excess scraped off. The top lip is cleaned of any excess hanging ganache, and that's our cakes done. They will both be brought back to be tiered. In the meantime, let's make some decorations. I'll be making some edible gold lace using this Clear Bowman premix cake lace in soft gold. A small portion is spread over this 10-inch round silicone mat using an offset spatula, which is worked into the mat pattern by spreading it in all directions. Any excess is removed and the mat is set aside. A rectangular lace which will be used on the cake is also filled, and both mats are set in a fan-assisted convection oven at 50 degrees Celsius for 20 to 25 minutes. The mats are returned later, but the lace is brittle and crispy looking. That's because I exceeded the baking time, but fear not, I'll show you how to fix these. But first, let's decorate our fondant covered boards. The board, already covered with a layer of fondant, is dusted with a fluffy brush to rid of any excess cornstarch. The round cake lace is then placed on the board and a steamer used to set the lace onto the board. The steamer used here produces moisture in the form of the steam, which softens the lace to set it in place, and when the lace is attached, the board can be left to dry overnight or back in the oven at 40 degrees fan for 20 minutes. Our board is dry and a ribbon is applied to the rim. The board is now complete and our 7-inch cake is transferred to sit on it, ready to be tiered. To tier our cakes, first a 5-inch cake card is used to mark out the placement of the top tier cake, with some dowels to be inserted to take the weight of the cake. However, remember the first 3 bottom cakes of the 7-inch were already doweled in part 1. With that in mind, a single dowel is marked and 4 additional dowels are cut to the height of the top 2 layers of the cake. These will be short dowels which will be inserted to sit on top of the middle card inserted earlier in part 1. I did this to break the weight of the 5 layers of cake, and in recent times, when inserting dowels to the full length of the cake, the ganache, which sets hard, has broken, causing a split in the cake. This method is my temporary solution to prevent cracks for now. Doweling done, ganache is applied over the dowels and the top tier cake transferred to sit in place over the dowels. A little bit of ganache is applied into the gap between the tiers and filled in using my forefinger. Our cakes are tiered now, sitting on a board ready for added decorations. For decorations, our rectangular cake lace is applied by steaming it lightly into place and the tier patched accordingly. An additional lace is added for a complete look. Consider gentle steaming when applying the lace, and the cake has to be completely chilled to prevent it melting to the warmth of the steam. Cake layer complete. A splatter of gold luster paint is applied onto the cake, and that's our cake complete and set ready for floral decorations. For the flowers, I am using simple fresh red and pink roses. To make them food safe, I have broken each flower stalk and inserted a toothpick in its place. For some, a short stalk remains with a toothpick as an added extension. I've also removed all the green sepals and turned the petals over for a fuller look. When all the flowers are prepared, they will be added onto the side of the top tier with a fondant ball serving as a barrier, but getting there was not exactly straightforward. First, there was the floral cascade, which I thought looked feminine, but I was uncertain of the design. Then changed to a fuller arrangement on the top tier, but found that overwhelming for the cake. Having done both and seemingly uncertain, some of the flowers were removed, leaving a rather smaller arrangement on the top side, which I thought was a good fit for the cake. Removing the flowers meant the toothpicks created a few holes in the cake, but these were filled easily, adding some texture to the white wash effect. A gold ribbon was added to the middle and some cake lace to the bottom side, and that's our cake complete. Our cake is done now after several moments of uncertainty and changes, but I was pleased with this look eventually. Showing you all about this two-tier cake, including mistakes and changes, I hope gave you a wholesome view of the cake decorating process, so you're empowered to take on your own projects with confidence. If you found some value on here, please consider subscribing and hit the notification bell to be notified of future videos like this and more. There are more beginner-friendly videos listed in the playlist below for your convenience. Part 1 of making this two-tier cake is showing on screen right now. Go watch and catch up on more tips, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching.